All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the best team in the National Football League in tonight's video. And yep, that is the Detroit Lions sitting here at 10-1. Now, tomorrow, happy early Thanksgiving to everybody. Less than 24 hours from now, you guys are taking on the Chicago Bears that play. Honestly, they have a really good defense. They just took Minnesota into overtime. They took my Green Bay Packers to the last couple of seconds. Chicago plays very hard, and I really just all I want for Thanksgiving is a Detroit Lions football win. But we're going to talk about this Detroit Lions team because, folks, it really does feel like the year. Now, I know all of my Lions fans watching this video right now don't even really want to admit that. I know that you guys don't even want to think about it. You don't want to jinx it. And I totally get it because the last championship the Detroit Lions won was 10 years before the Super Bowl was actually invented. But so good news is, last week was a really good win. On the road against Indianapolis, you got a dual threat, high reward, high risk guy, but high reward type of quarterback in Anthony Richardson. He's got a chip on his shoulder because first off, he was a top 10 draft pick less than 2 years ago, but he got benched and Indy is still a really solid, talented football team. They got a really solid defensive line. They're a hungry team. AR is extremely hungry, and it felt heading into the game. I know a lot of we make a lot of Lions videos on this channel. A lot of Lions fans were a little bit, I don't want to say the word worried, but you're on the road against a really hungry team, pretty much fighting to stay into the playoff hunt. And Detroit did more than take care of business. But folks, we're talking about this Detroit Lions team. Before we do, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. We post at least like 3 Lions videos every single week. Hopefully we have a victory recap around 24 hours from now on Thanksgiving evening. I love watching the Detroit Lions play football on Thanksgiving. But guys, if we try and get this video to 250 likes, folks, that would mean the absolute world to me. So, at the end of the day, man, it's really crazy what Detroit has gone through. Obviously the organization, but, I'm even talking about this season. We all know Aiden Hutchinson is done for the season, or at least the regular season. We do know he can be back for the Super Bowl. And it's just crazy because Aiden got injured like a month and a half ago, and we were a little bit worried. And they didn't lose a game since Aiden Hutchinson got injured. They haven't lost a game since, I believe, September 15th, which was week 2 against Tampa Bay, literally week 2. It is almost the end of November here. Detroit has 1 loss. So it feels storybook to me. Detroit currently leads the league in scoring 32.7 points per game. Point differential, plus 177. And you're also second in points allowed at 16.6. That is a championship team. Now, like we saw last year, we know this is a championship caliber team. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because the remaining 6 games for the Detroit Lions are going to tell me a lot about this team. So I mentioned that this team reminded me of Kansas City 2 years ago, like a month or a week or two, in the Detroit Lions video saying, obviously they had already won a Super Bowl a couple of years before, and you had MVP Mahomes, but it was a very, very young defense. It was a very young secondary. There was no clear wide receiver number 1. They had Travis Kelce, but Isaiah Pacheco was a rookie. There were a lot of question marks about that team, but you're in a very similar stance as Kansas City was during that time where they went 14-3 in 2022 and ultimately won that Super Bowl, and now they've won the last 2. But my point is, Kansas City in the last 4 to 6 games of that regular season won a lot of really close football games against divisional opponents. And people were sitting behind the mics on Monday morning on NFL Network television, not NFL Network because we don't really watch that, but ESPN, you get the point, talking heads. They're saying, should we be worried? Kansas City keeps getting wins, but should we be worried? And so the reason I'm bringing this up is because Detroit has 4 divisional games left, beginning tomorrow at home against the Chicago Bears. And, one thing we saw last season is the Chicago Bears not only play divisional opponents hard, but last year specifically, even with Justin Fields and the dysfunctional Chicago Bears organization, wink, wink, they played Detroit really well. So even if Detroit claws away with a victory tomorrow, let's say the final score is like 24-21, nobody should be freaking out in any way, shape, or form. Once again, you lead the league at 32.7 points per game, and you're second in points allowed at 16.6. That's a Super Bowl blueprint. But your next 6 games are all against really good playoff caliber teams. Tomorrow, at home against the Chicago Bears. And then you take on 1 week from now on Thursday Night Football, my Green Bay Packers. You have a home game against the Buffalo Bills. And then week 16 on the road against Chicago. Week 17 on the road against San Francisco, who's, honestly, season is probably done. But if I had to take a guess, I would assume, CMC, Nick Bosa, Trent Williams, Brock Purdy, they'll still be playing. And then week 18 at home against Minnesota. And, Minnesota's 9-2. Like, they're 9-2. That could have huge playoff implications, whether it's for the NFC North, whether it's the future conference championship game, you name it. But my point is, Detroit's final 6 games are teams that are in playoff contention, or maybe you're the Chicago Bears, and you're trying to take down divisional rival 10-1 Detroit. So they're going to be, in my opinion, nothing close to what we've seen in the last couple of weeks, where Detroit is winning 52-6, breaking records in, 645 total yards of offense. Even that game 24-6 last Sunday against Indy, I felt so good because I watched that game. And I guess it was Kenny Albert and Jonathan Vilma, who I guess used to play for the Indianapolis Colts. And, I watched that game and it was a complete and utter blowout. It really was. Troy had the football for 37 minutes. They went 9 of 15 on third down, 390 total yards of offense. They ran for 137 in multiple scores. They had 0 total turnovers. They had only 5 total penalties. It was a masterclass football game, but the final score, 24-6. I mean, this is a 7-point league. That's like the old adage. The NFL is a 7-point league. It's a game at inches. And so when you go on the road and you win 24-6, and I'm hearing the announcers say, they were like honestly hyping up the Indianapolis Colts. They were like, this game is nothing like the scoreboard. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And then they're like, Indy played good. And I'm like, what? What are we talking about? Detroit just shut them down. They just absolutely shut them down. So my point is here, in the final minute of this video, all I care about Detroit for the final part of this season is obviously first and foremost staying healthy, or at least trying to stay healthy. It's football. You can't really try and stay healthy, but just for example, Taylor Decker's missing tomorrow. Carlton Davis is missing tomorrow. I don't need Detroit to scathe their way to a 16-1 record and get injured along the way just to get that first seed. But I do want Detroit to get that first seed, because I will tell you right here, right now, if the Detroit Lions are the number 1 team in the NFC, it's going to be next to impossible. That sounds, maybe I am shooting the gun a little bit there. I don't want to jinx it either, but it's going to be very difficult to take down a Detroit Lions team with a week 1 bye and 2 home playoff games before the Super Bowl. All right. A little bit of a rant ramble. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Time for family dinner. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. But guys, give me your thoughts on this 10-1 Detroit Lions team. Better yet, give me a score prediction for tomorrow's game against the Chicago Bears down below. Peace.